It's funny. I'm sorry, but the email mix up. The exact same thing happened with Malcolm when I was setting up his episode. I had to send it a few times, so I'm afraid it's probably on my end.
It was just in my spam. I ended up looking in my spam, but it just happened to be in there.
Okay, well that makes sense for us, but him and I still never figured it out. But I sent it, I think, a few days in a row, and it finally popped up. But I mean, shout out Malcolm because we had such a good episode. So we were talking a bit after, and he was like, I think you should do one of these with a friend of mine. So immediately, based on his being such a good episode, that was all I really need to hear. Like someone who I had a good talk with has a friend that might want to come on here. That's all I need. Like, sure, I'm all in. Then he mentioned that, like, he didn't even mention what you did at that point. Then he said you're a pro skier. I thought that's incredible. I've talked to a couple of people in that industry, had learned a lot, had great talks. Like, that's two boxes checked. That's amazing. Then he said you had been in a plane crash. I thought, I mean, that's just the icing on the cake. That's a very unique story that I don't know if I'll ever talk to anyone who's been through that again. So if you don't mind, it's the thing I'm most curious about. So I gotta start. Hopefully you're okay with talking a bit about it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've done a bunch of media and stuff around it, so we're good to go.
What what was that? That's the other thing. Such a dumb question, but I feel I might never be able to ask someone else again. But what was it like to live through a plane crash?
Yeah, man. It was pretty crazy. It still is pretty crazy. I don't always like doesn't always feel real, but yeah, thankfully I'm comfortable talking about it because nobody, obviously I didn't die, but nobody on the plane died. So it kind of makes it definitely makes it easier to talk about. We wouldn't be having the same conversation, I think, if somebody had. So yeah, shout out for no one dying, and thankfully the injuries that were have happened on the plane were not too severe, and the flight crew and the flight attendants like really killed it and got everyone off safely and efficiently. And yeah, man, it was a crazy experience. I definitely have never been through anything like that, and I don't wish it upon anyone else either. But yeah, I mean, I there was like a small window there where I definitely thought I was gonna die, kind of like 5-10 second slow motion style window of like, oh, here we go. Like, I guess like peace out, shout out, whatever it is. It was almost like peaceful in a way, and then boom, we were just like we stopped moving, we were upside down, and yeah, that was that. We got off the plane, and then a whole bunch of other crazy shit happened after that because I took that video that went super viral, and the entire world was just blowing me up trying to get me on their news stations, and my phone was just ringing constantly, and everyone I knew and everyone I didn't know in the whole world was trying to get a hold of me. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, the situation, of course, not funny, but when Malcolm mentioned to me that you had been in a plane crash, like I was saying, that's all I needed to hear. I was like, that's gonna be an incredible topic if he's comfortable with talking about it. That's very unique. So I didn't really ask him anymore. And then I have a good friend who is also a free skier, and I asked him. I usually don't tell people any upcoming guests or anything I'm working on behind the scenes, but I sent him your Instagram and asked him if he was familiar with you. And he said, "Yeah, of course, like a very talented, very like prolific skier, but also." he was in the Toronto plane crash, and then it all connected for me, and I was like, I know even more about that crash being Canadian. It was all over, but for sure on like any channels that would reach us. So he knew about you. I'm sure anyone else I know involved in skiing knew the story. I'm sure people outside it as well. That's I guess my other question is what like so random that you would be in Toronto at the time because you're not Canadian. So what were you doing in Toronto that you were here for that?
I was going to work on a project, like a ski video out in Toronto, a street skiing video with the Browser magazine crew. So a bunch of friends and people I work with were already there working on the project, and I flew out to go meet up with them, and that's when it happened.
How how rattled were you by I guess that's maybe downplaying how impactful it was, but how long were you comfortable flying around soon after? Did you
I mean, so I flew home a week after. I was supposed to be there for like a month, but the crash happened and my back was like pretty fucked up afterward, and I was like trying to ski and just like was miserable, and my back was just hurting. I couldn't really ski. So I stuck around for like a week and was like, all right, I need to get home and like deal with all this. So yeah, I ended up flying home a week later. It was definitely pretty scary. I've been flying since for sure. Like, there's nothing I can really do about it. I fly a lot for ski stuff and work, and I love traveling. So, end of the day, I'm gonna have to keep flying just like anyone would. But yeah, it's definitely not the same. I can tell you that. You know, I like there's no point where I'm gonna be on a plane and it's like landing on the ground. I'm not gonna think about that moment.
yeah. Yeah, of course that's I mean, again, not to diminish the situation, but I get sort of PTSD when I have a bad flight or a layover or a delayed flight. Even that makes me hate my next flight. I can't even imagine what someone would go through living through what happened to you and then having to fly, especially so frequently for work and pleasure and all this stuff that gets you on flights a bit more than the average person.
Yeah.
So if I can, I'll shift from that. I feel that's enough reminiscing on that for you. Were you born and raised in Colorado? Is that's where you are now, right? Or not currently, but
So I was born in London, England, actually. And I lived there until I was 8 years old. And then when I was eight, I moved to Colorado. Um, Grew up in Boulder, Colorado, went to school there, and then I moved to Denver for the last like 6 or 7 years or so. I've been living in Denver until about a month ago. I actually just moved to Brooklyn, New York. So I'm posted up here now for the time being in New York City.
okay, that makes more sense because I was kind of curious about the time, you being on Eastern time, but then thinking maybe you were in Colorado. So what's brought you to New York recently?
Um, I'd lived in Colorado for like 20 years, and it's great and it brought me a lot of joy, and my life there was comfortable, and I had skiing and I owned a business and whatever else, but it wasn't really like I didn't really feel like I needed to be there as much anymore, and it was almost like getting to me a little bit, and I was just ready for change, and I've always wanted to live in New York. I have family here and I've been coming out here pretty frequently the last couple of years. So I made the move out here, and I'm trying to do a lot more production work outside of the ski world while also still staying in skiing and staying relevant, and like I can just travel in and out for shoots and whatnot when I need to. And funny enough, I've been already twice since I've been here. There's an indoor place in Jersey that has like a little terrain park, so I can still go ski if I want to, and there's still skiing on the East Coast like when I need it. But for the most part, I'll be traveling in and out for different like ski events and shoots, and then yeah, working on just like production work. And ideally, the goal is to be a producer out here, but it's gonna take some steps to get there. And then yeah, at the same time, I'm also been trying to get on some more like little bit of influencer stuff. I'm not necessarily into it, but it's cool to be able to have a platform where I can make money with different brands outside of skiing and within skiing and kind of just like do that kind of thing a little bit as well.
So I assume there's much less or a bit less of an opportunity to actually ski within New York, but way more opportunity for everything else you just mentioned.
Exactly. And like skiing has always been a huge part of my life and it will continue to be, but I kind of realized like I don't need to be living in Denver and just dedicating my entire winter to skiing anymore. I can still do all the things that bring me joy and all the things that my sponsors want out of me and go ski street on trips during the winter, like in and out of New York and like maybe dedicate like a month of time in the spring to like spring park stuff. Like I kind of got to a point I realized I really like skiing street and I really like skiing in the spring and all the other stuff I don't necessarily need to be doing all year long and I can be focusing on like other things that I'm into and other things that other work stuff and other things that like a can bring me income and also just like creative outlets and like exploring this new world and like this new kind of life that I'm trying to like build and make for myself.
How is the street skiing scene in New York? Because I know like winters, there's a decent amount of snow, right? Like, are there a lot of people making it go?
I mean, in the city itself, I don't think it snows that often. There is the ski community and like people that I've skied with all over is kind of growing here. There are people on a similar tip that I'm on, trying to do production work while also traveling in and out for skiing and still kind of holding on to that passion and have sponsors and like want to continue the game, but also know that it's not necessarily sustainable. So they're out here doing other types of work while still traveling for ski stuff. So it is really cool to have this community here and like they're down to go shred at the indoor place during the week or whatever when there's time. As far as like actual skiing street in the city, I really hope that it does snow because there are like a couple things and like really cool photos I think I'd like to get, but it's not necessarily like somewhere I'm planning on like getting like banger like big like proper clips at. I think it might snow like once or twice a couple inches, but you can't really count on it. I don't think it sticks around very long. But it is I a lot of street skiing happens on the East Coast, so or Toronto or Montreal or Eastern Canada. So I'm even closer than I had been to a lot of the places I used to ski street at.
I was actually gonna ask if there were other Canadian spots that were kind of like a go-to spot.
Yeah, I mean Montreal for sure. Like Ottawa City, Quebec City, eastern like north part of above in that area. Just like Eastern Canada has always been kind of a hub for street skiing, but at the same time, so is like the Midwest, Minnesota, and Wisconsin and stuff. So it's not that crazy for me to hop on a flight that way if the crew's over there coming from Salt Lake, and then it's super easy for me to get up north to Montreal and places like that. And like I'll be around Utah, I'll be around Colorado. I left my truck at my parents' house in Colorado. I'll be in and out. I'm hosting an event in Colorado in December, so I'm gonna be there for like 10 days, kind of like making sure this event runs smoothly and like I'll be I'll be pretty active still, even though I'm living over here. It's not like doesn't concern me. Like I tell people, yeah, I'm moving to New York, and the first thing they say is like, "How are you gonna ski?" And it's like, uh, don't worry about it. I got it figured out.
And it's so cool recently. Like in the past little while, I've been so lucky in in the range of people I get to talk to on here, but I've talked to a lot of New York people who do things that you would think weren't really flourishing in New York. Like, I mean, in your lane of things, like Zach Seeley from Hardpack, he's like flourishing out there. I've talked to climbers, talked to someone who was kind of on here as a writer, but they were also a golfer. In New York, there's like so many subcultures that are like thriving and have their own twist out there that I wouldn't have really thought were that active.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but there really is like everything here, like everyone doing a certain, there's so many people here, someone's going to be into what you're doing too. And I think a reason behind that is a lot of the maybe these industries and sports, it's not something you can fully rely on your livelihood for. Like I make money from skiing, but it's not something that I know I could do forever, and like it's not a sustainable thing physically, but also financially to only get money from skiing. Like I'm honestly pretty grateful for it that I've been forced to like start other businesses and do manual labor and do marketing stuff and do other design and work stuff outside of skiing because it's just made me even more of like a Swiss Army knife. And I think that there are people here who are in a similar position, like you said, with climbing or whatever. It's like they like working. Not only do they like, but they need to work on other projects and other stuff to live, so they can keep doing their subculture or sport. And like New York's just a great place to do that. And you know, no one's stopping you from like traveling in and out to go work on your climbing or skiing projects, and then you can be here working on the most creative stuff with the most creative people. And I feel like that this is like really where that's going on.
Let me just ask, uh, kind of not exactly what we are talking about. I'm so curious. I have someone in New York right now, so I gotta ask: is it as crazy there, like right now, because of all the Zoran stuff that it seems online? Like everyone seems like in a good mood, like partying in the streets and stuff. What's like actually going on?
In Brooklyn, I haven't seen it like I don't think it's as crazy as it seems, honestly. But I've also haven't really been like out a whole lot since he was elected. So I don't know. Maybe this coming weekend things will pop off a little bit more. But it feels pretty much the same, at least on my end of things.
That's probably a fair read, right? Because even if you aren't going out a lot, if it was as big as it seems like, it would still probably get to you. So I get that answers exactly. You mentioned before doing getting into a bit of like trying to influence, maybe like go down that route. Is that something that became more like uh, like did you see that that might be a possibility with the surge in followers from your video going off?
Yeah, honestly, for sure. It's like I got all these followers and it's like I might as well take advantage of it and use it, like use it for more than just skiing. And I'm still kind of like figuring that out. And it's also like, who are these people? Like, they're just like plane crash enthusiasts? Are they actually interested in what I'm doing? Like, where did they all come from? I went from having like 13,000 followers to having like 100K in 2 days. So I'm still figuring out the demographic of who they are and what they might be interested in. And like, I'm still always going to be a skier, and I would never want to like work with brands that aren't like adjacent with what I'm into and whatnot. But I don't know. I think it's something that I'm not necessarily into because I've always kind of just posted organic like content and ski stuff, and I never really like thought about it too hard. And now it's like something that's like, oh well, like if I'm gonna work for this brand, like I need to make sure this video like does well and actually reaches a certain demographic. And I do think that that is cool, but it also is like a little bit stressful. And I think stressing over Instagram is kind of silly. But end of the day, if you can use it for good and make some money out of it and promote cool stuff to the right people, then fuck it, man. Like, why wouldn't I?
Oh, for sure. Like most people, don't promote cool stuff, or they don't have like as kind of organic of a reason for their following as you would. So I would say absolutely go for it. That's like pretty. I mean, not barely anyone would be presented with the opportunity to do this. Going like 13 is good, but 100 you could like do something with that. And if you can kind of, if you want to think of it in a way like trick them into seeing and like you
Yeah.
promoting your like stuff or your friend stuff, like you might as well.
And that's what I'm doing. And I like to think that that has happened, honestly. Just even my own skiing and yeah, whatever else that I promote, I think that different eyes are seeing it. At least like right after the plane crash happened, like I was the one that posted that video, and there was some interest in me more than just being like a Joe Schmo. Like I was a professional skier on the flight, and it's like, oh, you go to my page. So I think there was some interest in that, and that definitely brought like a lot of attention to whatever the video that was in my bio. Like that video ended up blowing up because of it, and my sponsors were getting contacted and all this other stuff. So yeah, as crazy of a thing that it was and like a terrible thing, I there is good that came out of it, and I tried my best to take advantage of that when I could. And I don't know, it's kind of this weird like crazy thing that happened to me, but there's we're starting to see some some things on the other side where good can come out of terrible situations sometimes. And I never really like believed in that, but it's kind of proof in the pudding where you can get in a plane crash and then be able to show the world like what you're about in a different way than you were before.
Yeah, yeah, of course, totally. I agree a million percent. Well, I was gonna ask you kind of touch on it, but I just want to confirm. Well, like as soon as the video was up, like when people were sharing your video, were they labeling you a skier, or were you just like a someone on the flight?
Some there's like it ranges all across the board for sure. But there were a lot of publications that were like professional skier this, blah blah blah. Like I did a CNN interview, and then a week or two later I did like a CNN sports interview, and they were like just like showing ski clips, and like I was talking about skiing the whole time on it. So that was really cool too. So there's definitely like just like crazy video, like whatever, like crazy plane crash video guy, but there was also like professional skier gets in plane crash, blah blah blah, and takes video. It really ranged across the board, but it was interesting to kind of like see people. I guess like it's interesting to see like that it mattered that I was doing like a skier or whatever. Like they love to like spin it and like make it more interesting. So I feel like that's kind of like where that comes from. Because it is more interesting than just like guy gets in plane crash.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like it would already kind of make me like click, but if they're all like professional skier, maybe I would click more. I think like it's cool that I admit I hadn't really even thought of it, but it was super kind of you at the beginning to say you were like comfortable in talking about this because no one like lost their life through
Yeah,
it. So that, I mean, that just goes to show like if it was, I'm sure people were hurt but no one died, you might as well get all you can out of it because it was such a rare occurrence where no one was like really injured, no one's like family was torn up about it. So
yeah,
yeah, of course you might as well. And you've already shown skiing to probably thousands of people who might have never even been exposed to it before beyond like knowing a bit about it.
for sure.
Very cool. I few episodes, maybe a friend of yours, I don't know, but I talked to Cole Richardson
Yeah,
skier, and
I I
he,
saw I saw that you did one with him. I swiped through it a little bit. I listened to a bit. Super interesting talk.
yeah, yeah, he was awesome, and he was actually telling me a bit about knowing that skiing isn't like a forever thing, and then thinking about what you can do, maybe even in the industry, but not actually skiing, like marketing, photo, video, things that it sounds like you're thinking about a lot too. I'm wondering, like, are you guys? Is everyone sort of thinking about what happens after, or is it like only a few people consider the bigger picture?
If they're not, they should, I think, because no matter who you are with skiing, you're not okay. Maybe there are a few exceptions, but someone in my position in the ski industry will have to do other things regardless. You wouldn't you know because you'll get to a certain age and it's hard on your body, but it's also hard on like your lifestyle and finances. You can't just live off of skiing. The industry is not big enough. Like at least as like a street skier or like even big mountain or whatever, you really have to be able to look outside and see what other things you're interested in and try to do that. I mean, and whether that's like building trails or painting houses or whatever it is in the summer, you'll everyone for the most part, there are a few exceptions. It's very difficult to just ski forever, no matter how good you are. And yeah, I think Cole's a great example for that because and it's also to me it used to be really daunting, but it's kind of a beautiful thing because you're forced to use the skills you learn through skiing and maybe making ski films and turning that into something different outside of the ski industry, or you were into photography, or you were into like design, and then you start designing skis or designing other shit and doing art. And I really like what Cole's doing because yeah, he has one of the biggest sponsors in the world. So, I'm not sure the numbers, but I'm sure he's like comfortable for now, but that doesn't mean in the future that's always going to be there. So he's planning ahead and he's young. He's a lot younger than I am and he's on some really cool stuff like with the exhibitions that he's doing and magazines and whatever else. And I think just getting a head start in that while you're in the peak of your career, knowing that maybe in a few years or even 10 years down the line you might need to be doing something else is very important. And I've seen like both ends of it of people that have found other things and they left skiing earlier than they thought they would, and which is honestly I think is amazing. And then there's the other side of it of like, oh my God, like I've been skiing for so long and it's all I cared about. It's all I focused on. Like I don't know what I'm doing now. Like I don't know what to do.
Is that like, is this sort of new or newish thinking for you, or do you think like earlier on you realized?
For me, it's not new. I'm 29 years old, so it's like I've been through it. I've been through the like, how long can I really ski for? And thankfully, I feel like I'm still doing it longer than I was expecting on a professional level. And um, I don't know. I don't know when it's early to think about that, but like I went to university and like I got an education, and I'm super grateful for that. And I've never even downloaded my transcript. I've worked for myself since I graduated, but I still think like being proactive about thinking about education. You don't have to go to school, especially nowadays, but thinking about education and just thinking about other facets of life outside of skiing early on is important. For me, it was, I think I was like 22 or 23. Sam Zahner and I'm not sure if you know who that is. Him and I started a house painting business together, and that was like something that allowed me to continue skiing because we were just working on our own projects in the summer, like painting and getting jobs and like kind of learning this whole new industry and making our own money and working for ourselves, and then skiing in the winter and making films under the Strictly label. And that, although like wasn't something that I thought I always kind of needed this creative outlet, but doing the painting thing and making a bunch of money, and on my own time in the summer like allowed me to continue doing my creative outlet at the time, which was skiing and focusing on skiing and traveling to different cities to ski street and with like our crew. And now that's kind of changed. And over the years, Sam moved on and he left the business and I was running it myself. And I learned how to like hire on employees and like kind of focus like a lot of time into like thinking about my future, even if skiing wasn't a part of it. And like, okay, like I'm getting older. It's important to make money to have the things you want and the things you need to have and paying bills and like paying for a relationship too or whatever it looks like and pets and family and you as you get older you learn about what's important. And I think for skiers or people that are really into skiing it's a very interesting process because for me since I was 8 years old, all I could think about was skiing and all I cared about was skiing. And school came second, girls came second, family came second, whatever it was. I just wanted to ski and I wanted to consume skiing when I wasn't skiing. So then it's kind of this like wake up call when you get a little bit older and you're like, wait, I can't just, this can't be my life because it's not gonna take me all the way. It might take me somewhere, but it's not gonna take me all the way. And yeah, I'm grateful I was able to do other things and I have other interests as well. And yeah, I mean, at the same time, like skiing has brought me all over the world and it's brought me beautiful, beautiful relationships with friends I'll have forever, regardless of if one of us stopped skiing, or both of us did, or whatever it was. Like, I've really made lifelong friends through it. And I've been to Japan and New Zealand and Europe and all over the place. And it's something that I will remember forever. And I'm so grateful that that is what I cared about. It is only what I cared about and what I put so much of my energy into while also doing other stuff at the same time.
That's amazing because I assume there are people like you said you maybe seen them before, not realize this early on enough, and then just kind of like either hit a wall where they like can't do it anymore, or they just do it until something like an injury.
It's a dark thing for sure. Like and ski town, a lot of kids like they'll graduate high school, they'll graduate college or whatever at a certain age, and they'll move to a ski town. They're like, I'm gonna be a pro skier, and they work at a bar, or they work, at the ski shop, and they're skiing a ton, and that's what's making them happy at the time, and like things are going good, and maybe they don't get sponsors or they do get sponsors, but it's never enough money to really move the needle, and then you do that for long enough, and then you're like, wait, what the fuck's going on? And I've seen it firsthand. It brings people to a really dark place. And yeah, I mean, some people can't take that either. It's kind of scary. And especially being in ski towns too, the divide of all this tourism and really wealthy people, and then the people who are actually living there, working at the mountains and working at the restaurants and trying to ski because they love it, not because they're on vacation, is um it's just one of those things that there's such a big divide that it can take people to a really dark, kind of scary place.
That's really interesting. I was just last weekend. I was in Banff for some of the film festival they were having, and I was my girlfriend and I were having coffee in the morning, and I was thinking about just that, about the divide between the people who are working here, like to be able to ski for the year, and then the people who are here, like from all over the world, just like rich beyond anyone's belief, that don't, almost like take it all for granted. And I was actually thinking about that exact divide. So that's
Yeah.
kind of perfect you would bring that up. I didn't know if I would ever really talk to anyone except my girlfriend about that. I thought that was a lost thought, but that's cool. That is, probably something, with so much social media and newsletters and stuff, I'm sure people might start writing even more like think pieces about that type of thing. I'm sure they're out there already, but that seems like something people will start thinking about a bit more. Earlier, before I went off on that tangent, I think you mentioned since you were 8 years old, skiing has consumed you. I was gonna ask what your trajectory was and how much of your life you've been skiing, and I guess you kind of started to answer that. But what made you start when you were 8 years old?
So, well, I learned how to ski when I was like 2 or 3. My dad was always a he always loved skiing. So but I was born in London. So skiing for me until I moved to Colorado was um like going to France for a week on vacation and like learning how to ski and skiing, and like it more of like a vacation activity than it was something that I took seriously or even like really liked. I didn't really learn to like skiing till we moved to Colorado when I was 8 years old, and that was kind of when I was like hitting rails and like doing 360s and being like, wow, this is so awesome. And then it was game over. I was just consumed, and I watched every video on new, like I was just consuming it all. And in Boulder at the time, a lot of pros lived there, and like CU was popping off. There were all the big premiere first stops on the movie premieres were always at the Boulder Theater. Like I was going to that front row as a little Grom, like 10-year-old Grom trying to catch swag. And that was like what I wanted to be too when I grew up. And, it's cool to make those dreams come true, but the grass is always greener once you get there, and things are never how they truly pan out in the fairy tale. But that's not to say that I'm not thankful for it. I'm just painting the picture of like, I really was like, wow, this is like what is life is about. And um as you grow older, like I kind of discussed before, things change, people change, it all changes when things become more real. Yeah, so moved when I was 8 and kind of was like so in on it. And then high school for 1 year I was like on a freestyle team, but I never did the competition stuff. That wasn't really for me. And then once I got to college, I started meeting different people and we started like filming videos, and that's kind of where it like spiraled into sponsors and other stuff, just getting to college and like actually making like real longer form videos.
Yeah, I mean, perfect. Because my next question would have been around when, if you remember, did you realize it could be like kind of a career for a time being for you? Like, when did it turn into something?
I mean, I got like my first kind of quote unquote sponsors or sponsor in high school. It was a ski brand called Rocky Mountain Underground out of Colorado, and they were like giving me like cheap skis. I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. Like I was like having my parents buy me like $200 pair. Like I still couldn't pay for it, but they were like hooking up like discounted skis. And then I started skiing for line when I was a sophomore in college, and that was just like skis and full tilt boots and free stuff, and that was like the coolest thing ever. Just to like that was my main goal from day one. Is like I just want to get sponsored and get free skis. I didn't really realize it took me a while to realize like, oh wait, actually like people are getting paid for this. Like I could get paid maybe. And yeah, I mean, I was kind of late to the game. I didn't really start getting contracts until after college, or maybe like the winter. Yeah, the winter after college when I was like, okay, like I worked really hard this summer. I'm not in school anymore. I'm gonna like spend the whole winter filming and like doing whatever. And I might have got like a $2,500 contract from Line, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do whatever I can with this and try to grow it over the years. And that was kind of when it was. So I'd say around like 22, 23 was when I was like, wait, okay, there's like money involved. It's not much, but there's money involved. Cool.
Do you think, like, if you knew that a bit earlier, would you have still gone to school? Like, was that important for you?
To be honest, when I graduated high school, I was like, I don't want to go to like I'm not gonna say my parents forced me to go to school, but it was like, look, you have this opportunity. We will like pay for in-state school. Like if you should do this. And I was kind of like, oh, like I just want to be a skier. Like that's all I care about, blah, blah, blah. And to be honest, I think if I went that route and didn't go to school, I would have not made it as far in the ski industry as if I had gone to school, because the people I met at school and the connections I made and what school taught me as far as communicating with people and brands, like that's what's brought me further in skiing than just being good at skiing. Like I'm a good skier, but I've always been into the business side of things when it comes to skiing and being an athlete. And I know how important it is to like make connections and talk to people and grow as a person in an industry as and not just as like a talent in an industry. And yeah, quite frankly, if I had like just started trying to ski and make it, I think things would have panned out a lot differently in the wrong direction, honestly. So I'm super grateful that I went to school and then focused on school while skiing a ton still. That was the first time I was ever able to like ski during the week and like I don't know, have to balance partying and school and skiing all in one. And thankfully I came out of it alive somehow. And then after school, I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna make a little bit of money doing this, and I can work really hard in the summer too, and like be able to live and like pay cheap rent or whatever it is somewhere in Denver. And then it just got, I wouldn't say it snowballed, but we were doing the Strictly movies and we were getting a lot of support through those, and a lot of eyes were on us. And then we started making like a little bit more money and then working more in the summer and whatever else. And yeah, it's a long road, and then it's a long road to get to that place, but it's super cool when you do.
You mentioned a little bit about it, sounded like maybe it was sort of past tense about all these like premieres, the kickoff place being Colorado. Was the scene better when you were younger compared to what it is right now?
Absolutely, yeah. I think even Colorado in general, the scene is pretty dead. The all the scene is either in Europe maybe, but or Salt Lake. If you're trying to be in the scene, then you live in Salt Lake, 1000%. There's no The scene in Colorado to me is pretty dead. I still love Colorado, and I'm hosting an event at Eldora on December 13th and 14th. And the goal is to kind of revive the scene. Like I want to see more of a scene in Boulder in the Front Range area. And I'm doing it at like my home mountain, Eldora, which is where I learned how to slide a rail for the first time and do a 360. And it's kind of this full circle, like let's revive this scene. Like let's bring it back to Colorado and like see what we can do with that, while other places like Salt Lake are on this super high tip. But I think end of the day, it kind of just comes down to accessibility, and living in Denver or Boulder is a pretty difficult place to live if you want to ski a lot. It doesn't really make sense.
That's gonna be like kind of painful to watch. Like you're describing, going to all these premieres and stuff ever since you were a kid. So to watch it dwindle over the years has got to be frustrating. But it's amazing that you can go back and kind of come full circle, do an event where you learned all the stuff the first time. That's pretty nice. Like a lot of people probably watch the scene get worse over the years and then don't have a way to like give back or attempt to kickstart something again.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree. And it is cool. And Colorado is like what shaped me, and I'll always believe that and stay true to that. It is just like it's different than it was when I was growing up and coming up. It's a lot different. Like we used to go to Keystone and Breck religiously, and now they barely even like have terrain parks. And like that was like the scene. Like Keystone and Breck was where it was at for the world. Like people would come all over the world to ski those parks. And then sometime around like 2016, maybe 2017, 18. maybe a little later. It was kind of in its peak around then, and then sometime around COVID or before COVID, they kind of just shut all their park funding, and Copper Copper kind of became the hub for it in Summit County, and they were giving us all passes to ski there, so it's a no-brainer. And yeah, Copper rocks. Copper and Eldora are awesome places in Colorado. If you're trying to ski park, those really are the two places you got to be.
Do you think, like, are there other people that you either know or you've heard of kind of feeling the exact same way that like Colorado needs a bit of a boost to get back to what it used to be?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know about a boost. Like Copper is doing everything they can and more to have a world-class park. It is, I will say it's definitely a little catered more to competition than it is like flow and style and steezy skiing, for lack of a better term, or like how I like to ski. That's not necessarily a good or bad thing, but like where Keystone was like my home court growing up and when I was like coming up and like trying to make it. And the way they made their park was like no one else has ever recreated it even since. It just flowed and they just knew what they were doing, and they just the even down to like the pitch of the slope and where the chairlift was, because the chairlift went above the whole park, so the vibe was just so good because you could see what all the homies were doing when you were on the chairlift, and everybody's hanging out in the top and whatnot, and that was just like it was just like the epitome of what I thought free skiing was and what I wanted to continue feeling and being that way. And like yeah, like down to how the park was shaped and all that. And then like kind of since then, no one's been able to like no one's had the funding or the resources to kind of recreate that. And I think it's like a lost thing, dude. The Summit County, that Summit County era isn't something that will will ever resurface, but it might. Who knows? I mean, a lot of there is that in Salt Lake, in at Woodward Park City and Park City Park as well. But it's just it's this nostalgic thing that tons of people, I talk about it with friends all the time. Tons of people feel the same way I do, and yeah, it's just a memory now, which which is cool too. It's cool too.
Yeah, I mean, at least you got to like be a part of it. I know people kind of tell me that logic when it comes to some things that I think maybe were better than they are now, and it always isn't the best thing to hear. But I'm gonna say it anyway. Like at least you were in it when it was cool, right? And you and your friends can talk about the nostalgia of that. Some people only saw it in magazines or never even like saw any of it.
Exactly. Yeah, or have no idea that it even was like that or existed, which I think is kind of cool. It's like a core memory, and it's like something that I was a part of that only a select community would understand. And you gotta have good things always end. Stuff like that always ends. It's never forever. So it just leaves room for the next big thing and the next cool place and the next whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I get butthurt over that stuff sometimes, but I agree. When I want to ask about like the videos and stuff, because you mentioned them being a huge part of all this. Were they like were you making videos right away, or were you skiing for years before the videos came in?
I was definitely skiing for a while before I like started meeting the people that I was making videos with. Like in high school, I was always skiing hard, and like filming things wasn't necessarily um something that I like really thought of. I guess I was. We were like passing around the GoPro and stuff in high school, but it was more just to like see what we did, not a whole lot of like actually making videos out of it. And then in college, like Instagram was more of a thing, and so I was like making videos for Instagram, like ski videos, and then just like kind of like formed this like ski crew where we made more like videos with real cameras that we actually like spent time thinking about and working on. And then after college, we started a production company called Strictly, which was like where we like really kind of popped off making street and backcountry films.
Is that what you're like trying to carry on in New York? Like when you want to get more into production, is it through Strictly or now are you?
No, we kind of dissolved a little bit to some degree. Maybe one day we'll come back. We talk about it a lot. Maybe one time we'll come back. One day we'll come back as just kind of like an in-house production team that isn't necessarily tied to skiing. But yeah, sadly we kind of dissolved that because everyone started parting different ways and getting older and couldn't in a similar place that I am now, just couldn't dedicate their whole winter to just skiing because it's not sustainable, like we already talked about. So everyone kind of went their different ways. It still exists to some degree, but yeah, I always kind of dreamed about blowing it up onto different platforms and trying to make it using the Strictly account and like the resources that we had. And I think one day it will. It just has to be the right time.
Yeah, that's another thing that might not be like great to hear, but like you did it and the videos exist. Like that's another great memory for you and your friends, and it might be okay.
Yeah, not a lot of people can say like a lot of my life has been recorded and like put out, and not a lot of people like can, sure, maybe they have their Instagrams and they have photos to look at, but like I have like so much of like my core is like packed into these videos, and you can like show people like this is what I was doing and this was what I was all about during that time period without it having to explain anything. You can just kind of like show someone this piece of work, and it tells its own story of like, yeah, that's like who I was, you know?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, let alone the videos you guys released, there's probably hours of B-roll that no one's seen that also.
Oh my God, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of random shenanigans and whatever bullshit that will never see the light of day, but that's for our own safekeeping.
Yeah, that's the best stuff too, right? I wish I had more.
Yeah, hard drives on hard drives that are all over the country, who knows, in different people's hands. I have some in New York, there's plenty in Salt Lake, Los Angeles, Denver, hard drives with who knows what on them that yeah, it's cool. It's cool to like have that because unless you're in an industry where you're filming all the time, not a lot of people have that. So
Yeah.
it's a cool concept. It's an interesting thought.
Yeah. I wish I had more. I wish friends and family had more too. It's you're very blessed to have that all. Your like your ideas for this production in New York. Are you like talking about going outside skiing and outside sport? Like, are you interested in video beyond that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now I'm just trying to like PA, which is production assistant, and I'm just trying to like get on set for whatever, whether it's like fashion or music videos or any commercial, like whatever kind of video work. And I feel like I'm interested in all of it because I'm just trying to find as much work as possible. And I will like kind of narrow down what I like doing more as I do more of it, if that makes sense. But I've always, yeah, I mean, sport will always be a thing, and like action and high speed just because that's what I'm used to, and that's like kind of what I'm good at working on is things just happening fast because of skiing. And I guess so like commercial work in that space of like sport brands and um like outerwear or running or whatever it is. I think that's kind of what interests me the most right now, but I need to do a lot more work in this space to kind of narrow down my niche.
That's cool though. A lot of people like kind of they would say a niche before they do a lot themselves and kind of decide which works best for them. I like the approach of like just taking on as much work as possible and then
Maybe I should be thinking about more that way, but I don't know. I've always kind of just wanted to be here and like see it for what it is and then kind of just go from there.
And what are you mainly interested in video or is there photo work?
I've always been interested in photo. Like I shoot a lot of film, mostly just for fun, just to have of like friends and like events that I go to or whatever. But yeah, I mean, really, like I would do photo assisting as well. Absolutely. I've always thought I've always thought like all sorts of production is super fascinating and like telling a story and creating something from nothing, whether it's for a clothing brand or a car brand or a ski brand, like everything like has a story. Even on like surface level influencer stuff, like I I right before this podcast, I had a meeting with Zigzag, like the rolling paper brand, and like I'm gonna do like a collaboration like thing with them, and it's like I don't want to just do some like bullshit thing of me like talking like buy this or do this. It's like I'm gonna tell a story and like make it fun for everybody involved and like make it interesting for the viewers. So like even on a level like that where it's just on my Instagram, like it's fun to like make something from nothing and it's exciting and I'd like to continue doing that on like higher level productions.
For sure, and that like incredibly cool collaboration. A lot of people would go into that and kind of just do whatever paid or whatever got likes and views, but it already sounds like you're like thinking you have this audience, but what can you do for them that's like cool while still supporting yourself like financially at the end of the day? That all is great. Sick collab.
Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to ask, is Gibberish your company or are you just close with them?
No, I ski for them. I'm very, very close with everybody there. It's not my company, no. It's one of my sponsors that I've been with for quite some time now. But no, I don't own I'm not even technically an employee. I'm an athlete on the team essentially, but I talk to them all the time and help with strategy and help with design stuff here and there and whatever else, but they have designers and marketers and the crew. But they're based out of Denver, so I go to the office and hang out all the time, have meetings there and talk about plans and ski stuff. But as far as owning, no, I do not.
Yeah, I was reading a bit about you before, and I was like, well, like what doesn't this guy do? Like, if I didn't know if you owned that company and skied, and then all the school talk and house painting, I thought you were just. I mean, all of it is impressive without gibberish, but I thought that would just be the cherry on top. That's insane.
No, 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 just very close friends at this point, just through being in Denver all together and working for them as an athlete.
So let me just kind of wind down. I want to know like what, if anything, what do you do that isn't skiing related? Like how do you relax and what like kind of inspires all this? Like what else do you do? Maybe some stuff no one expects.
Yeah, I mean, I've always mountain biked. Like I used to race all through high school. I raced mountain bikes, so that's always been a pretty big part of my life, kind of behind the scenes. I mean, and not big as in with sponsors or whatever else. It was just something that I always loved doing, and it was really the only other thing that gave me the same like feeling of joy and excitement that skiing did. So it's super awesome to like find. I never really thought I would find that anywhere else, but mountain biking definitely gives me that, and it's a great form of exercise as well. Um, so yeah, that's always been something special, but now that I live here, it's definitely gonna be doing that less and probably only when I'm back home in Colorado. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, like I'm pretty into running and like staying fit, but I run quite a bit. I ran a marathon just like out the door this summer, like not a real marathon, but I just ran 26 miles just to see if I could. That was like kind of interesting. So I've been over the last couple of years, running has definitely been important to me, and like making sure I do something active every day, or like whether that's in the gym or going on a run, is has become like routine for me. It's like if I don't, like, I don't sleep well, and like I like to feel good physically, and that's like stayed important and will continue to. And like, yeah, that ties into skiing maybe, just because as I'm getting older, I want to be strong, so mitigating injury and stuff like that, because I just don't have time to get injured.
Yeah, I guess that would really like put a kink in everything. An injury could throw you off in a lot of
For
ways.
sure. I mean, and it's a part of the game, but now that like the game isn't my whole life, it's like staying fit and staying strong and staying healthy. So when I am skiing, it's safe and responsible and smart and calculated is like what it's all about for me now. While still like going out of my comfort zone and like doing cool, interesting stuff and tricks, but I prioritize like skiing safely over like getting a clip that might be super risky or like I'm not confident in.
So, does that mean you've avoided injuries so far?
I've not, I wouldn't say entirely, but I've definitely stayed relatively safe. I mean, last summer I broke my collarbone mountain biking, so different to skiing, but I've always, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much you know, but my kind of skiing is definitely like um it's like based around like style and creativity, like even from down to the clothes I wear. I've never been one to like spin as fast and flip as many times as possible, and I do like even just the genre of skiing that I do like is maybe technically speaking safer because I'm not doing the most insane things. So that's probably helped to mitigate things or mitigate injury. But just like, there's reckless skiers and there's smart skier. Like no matter how good you are, like some people are so good, but they're so good they don't think or they don't need to think, and like that's where mistake happens. And I've always like been super calculated and almost to a fault where sometimes maybe it's held me back, and like you miss out on certain things you would have done if you were more confident or whatever. But especially now, it's like I'm I'm calculated. It's a process. Like it's there's a lot of thought that goes into it for me now than just like trying to ski cool and good and big. It's more than just like the skiing part.
I would have never thought that your type of skiing was the safe one. I know like I've seen clips of both, and I know like the stuff in the mountain seems very dangerous as well. But I would think you could get hurt way quicker doing what you do.
Well, and I guess what I mean by even just looking at street stuff, like there's people that just want to jump off huge roofs and whatever and like do a big spin off a rail or slide the biggest rail. Like even narrowing it down, like my type of street skiing is more creative on smaller features and like more of a stylistic kind of way than it is like doing this trick that no one's ever done before. It's more like doing something a certain way that's just different and unique, as opposed to like finding the biggest roof to jump off of or the rail with the most stairs that's long.
I mean, like I was watching a bunch of it. It looks terrifying. I'll take your word that it's safer, but to me, I still say it looks dangerous. And even if you're saying things are a bit smaller and a bit more controlled, they all look huge to me.
Yeah, word.
Well, you know what? I think I've eaten up enough of your day. This is as much as I said I needed you for. I think that was awesome. I don't know if you had fun, but I learned a lot. That was very cool of Malcolm to set it up. Thank you for answering everything, especially the plant stuff. I know that's gonna be annoying. I'm sure everyone's gonna ask you about that for the rest of your life.
Don't stress. Don't stress, my man. That was super fun. I think what you're doing is really cool as well. And I'm really glad that Malcolm connected us too.
Yeah, that's amazing. Shout out Malcolm for the 100th time. But beyond that, actually, before we go, I almost forgot. Do you want to let people listening know where they can see anything you want to promote right now? The mic is yours. Please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, I feel like my Instagram's the best place to see what I'm up to. Especially now that winter's rolling around and there's promoting all sorts of different stuff. And so yeah, my Instagram is EGGXIT. It's pretty much the best place to find me.
Cool. Short and sweet. That's the best way to do it. I really appreciate all of this. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of the weekend and the winter. Have fun in New York and keep in touch, please.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Peace.
Peace.